We'll move on, Keith, to talk about Manchester United. Now, we know they ended their pursuit of Thomas Tuchel. He said he doesn't want the job. What were your thoughts on that news?
I was, again, surprised to see, quite publicly, Thomas Tuchel agreeing that they had chats and Man United saying they had chats. I mean, we've always seen that, manager would have said, of course, I haven't spoken to them because there's a manager who has his job in place and Ten Hag is the man in place. So to me, that was just another sign that Radcliffe is going behind Ten Hag's back and he's talking to people. Now, that can't make Ten Hag feel very happy. It was supposed to be last week. We were going to hear the last season's review and the results for that. It's been quiet on that front, so hopefully we'll see something this week. But I do get the feeling that United are still, as I've been saying, are a club with so many moving parts right now, and some big ones that are not in place. The Ashworth stuff still not resolved. Some key things still going on, and to have openly talking to other managers behind the existing managers' back was not the United way, as far as I was concerned, and I was quite shocked by that.
I mean, Keith, you sort of mentioned it in there, that review that the execs were looking at for their review of the season. The fact it has been so quiet, what do you make of that potentially? And actually, how do you feel it's gone for Erik ten Hag and his future at the club?
Well, the initial reaction would be that you think, well, the review hasn't gone well for Ten Hag, and that's why they were talking to Tuchel. But if they haven't got a new manager in place, perhaps they're keeping that review quiet until they have got a candidate in place. It's hard to read, but it certainly is not, clear and decisive management. It's not the end of the world if they were to sack Ten Hag and then go ahead and get a new manager. I've had to manage through those areas of, hopefully it's a very lonely 7-10 days, 2 weeks, however long it takes you to get a new candidate. It's probably the longest period of a chief executive's life, having to handle it without a manager, because the pressure is unbearable. But United would have to face it, and I think that would be the clearer way to do it, rather than creeping around behind people's backs and trying to do things. It doesn't show clear and decisive management.
I mean, most United fans, Keith, seem to be agreed that actually Ten Hag is the right man for the job, for particularly even just next season. What do you think about that? And actually, could their influence and opinion, given the importance of the fans within the club, actually have on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's and the executive's view and decision to be made?
Yeah, look, I've been very much aware of that. And I think I've said before that the one with so many moving pieces, the one thing that they could be doing with is keeping a manager in place, at least for another season. And I would understand that if they actually come to that conclusion, but they'd be coming to that conclusion for probably all the wrong reasons. Certainly the fans getting behind Ten Hag has helped his position. I think they feel sorry for him, to be honest, because they can see the turmoil that's going on behind the scenes behind him. So I sort of get that to a degree. But if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then it's never going to end up in the right place.
I mean, Keith, we also know that his contract expires this time next year, so it's, summer of 2025. Could that be a more suitable time for him to depart? Is there a chance actually that neither a decision is made to extend or actually sack him, that they keep him in place effectively as a stopgap year, they recover their position hopefully, and then for next season they look at a new appointment?
Well, I think that's what you've outlined there is probably what may end up happening, but it's not the right decisive solution going forward that Jim Radcliffe had promised. And it's going to be a sort of a feeling of like a truce, an uneasy truce between Ten Hag and the management. They obviously haven't backed him. They haven't said he's going to stay when they had a chance to. And so now they're going to have to just go along with that situation. He's going to have to get through it. And they could be in a very embarrassed situation if he has a good season next year and he decides to leave. So it's not great leadership, as I say, not clear signals, which is what you need from a club in turmoil, is you need clear signals of the way forward. And that's not emerging. The white smoke is not emerging from Old Trafford, that's for sure.
And looking at their summer window plans as well, Keith, obviously the managerial vacancy might potentially have some impact on that decision. What's your prediction for their summer window? And actually, are we expecting them to spend big? What was their remit going to be going into the summer?
Well, again, look, without Dan Ashworth and somebody to head up, the sporting director position, with a manager who seems to be unstable, to say the least, in terms of his position, how can they make serious decisions about the squad? Who's going to be making those decisions for them right now? It's very hard to understand. I think United will have to. I think there's going to be fan pressure again. They've got to shore up that defence. They've got to do something with the attack. Um, they're going to have to spend. They've got the resources to do it. They've got the headroom, I think, within PSR to still make significant signings. They keep being linked with Branthwaite from Everton. That's one that I think would really help them. Although I don't want him to go, I still think it would help United a lot at the back. So I think they will carry on trying to find 3 or 4 big signings, but the whole thing will still be a squad that is not being cohesive and no real direction from who's really going to be making those decisions. I've heard that I've forgotten his name now, Jason, the technical director almost, is going to be helping with the style of play, but he shouldn't really be involved in terms of the signings and acquisitions. So this is not the same club that had the strong leadership of Fergie and of David Gill behind the scenes. It's now just a melange of being run by committee. And as we all know, a camel is what a horse would be if designed by a committee. And so United may end up being a strange collection of players with another tough season to get through.
And Keith, you mentioned Dan Ashworth in there. Are we expecting that deal to be wrapped up soon? How quickly could that happen? And actually, what will the implications of him coming in then be for the club this summer?
Well, I've said before, Ratcliffe should have gotten a room with Newcastle and they should have stayed in that room until a deal had been struck. And that should have been done 1 month, 6 weeks ago, whenever it was first started. They haven't done that, and now they're paying the penalty. I don't understand why that can't be brought to conclusion. It's not the hardest thing in the world to get somebody else's staff member. You've got to pay the price. And I think that's something that United have got to do. How long it will take, I don't know how long he wants to hang out for, but already it's impacting recruitment. I've seen stories in the media about how they've got different emails that Ashworth sent that he shouldn't have sent and all sorts of different things. So there's no doubt it's become a complex situation with legal arguments on both sides now. But still, as everything in football, there is a way to do it. But I'm afraid it takes experience and knowledge to get in that room and get it hammered out and get it done. That's where I would have liked to have seen, again, another part of decisive, clear management and signals coming from Ratcliffe that I've yet to see.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.